Welcome back. The Union Budget 2023, the final one ahead of the Battle of 2024, has been a budget that has encompassed all sections of society. While the shake-up in the new tax regime has put more money in the hands of the middle class, multiple sectors and groups from agriculture and infrastructure to tribals, pensioners and women have been catered to in this budget. The economic vision has also seen unprecedented outlays for capital investment, railways, urban development, and hikes in the education and health budgets. How will these power India's economic fundamentals? Joining us on the show is Saket Dalmia, President of the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Mr. Dalmia, really appreciate your time. This is the last full budget of the Modi government before the general elections of 2024. And it's not high on populism. Would you say then that this is a responsible budget, although it does give more cash in hands of the middle class, but at the same time, it has stuck to the path of fiscal prudence?
So good point, very well said. And I think, I was thinking the same when I saw the budget. The first thing came into my mind was, where is the populist element in that which is easily visible? Then I realized that the government understands that, the villager, the rural person does not want optics. They measure by what they get in hand. And the continuity of government funding, central funding into the hands of the poor, especially in the villages, continues. So that is big enough for them. When my driver tells me that if I go home, I'm going to get 3 lakh rupees to making a home for myself, a pakka house. So that kind of initiative really satiates the rural economy. But when it comes to a middle class, they want more money in their hands because they are in the tax system. And if you see that by giving those indications that, look, we are trying to give you a better starting point in terms of salary, we are shaving off the peak, satisfying the wealthy people. On the other hand, trying to do away with the capital gains benefits when they, after 10 crores, that one. So in many ways, what I think is the government has understood where they want to spend the money and where the impact should come and how they're going to be perceived. So from an optical level, they know when they announce a budget, the middle class is greatly affected and is the main, how should I say, the main target segment which they want to communicate to. There they have given excellent indication, excellent optics, and excellent measurable things for them to be happy with. At the same time, I think what the government has really done this time is have a huge impactful budget. I do not think in the recent history there has been so much interaction between government agencies, chambers, and businesses. So they have been able to really deep dive into really what are the things which will make a difference in the economy.
Saket Dalmia, the new tax regime, which will give relief to the middle class, but at the same time, the government is hoping that it will increase the spending power. But the question is, will it really boost growth? There are questions about job creation. If this substantial increase in capex will send a message that it can in somehow lead to job creation more than just fixed assets. I mean, creation. Of course, it is about fixed assets which will be created, infrastructure push that we are seeing. But what about job creation, that roadmap?
So well put. I think one thing is very sure that personal taxes initiative is not going to be a job booster. Definitely, you're 100% right there. The big spending in infrastructure, I think, is going to be a big job creator, definitely. And apart from that, I think spending in general into creating an environment which makes us more efficient as a country will increase our productivity and will eventually help businesses. So there is no knee-jerk reaction as such, as you correctly said, through financial allocation, which we're going to see a big uptake in the economy. But probably that's the point that the government wants to lay out a medium to long term plan of growth instead of just trying to show that, look, I'm going to spend here, so you'll get this.
One view certainly is that the government has come up with a roadmap, and it's an ambitious roadmap. But do they have clarity of growth? There was this cheer that we saw in the industry, but the market ended in red yesterday. Is there some confusion on how the budget will take India ahead?
Good questions, Maria. So, initial reactions is that, if you look at if I'm the government, I would like to spur demand. So one way I can spur demand is spend, which I am doing. The other is I give more money in the hands of the consumer. We are doing. In terms of the strategy, is it long term? I think it's definitely long term. When they're talking about investing and focusing more on research and development, when they're talking about investing more in capacity building, in skilling, in agricultural initiatives where they are talking about warehousing and those things. So those are not going to give you any short term or immediate bang for the buck. Still, they're saying, well, I'm going to go and spend this money. So definitely there is a medium to long term vision by the government. And I don't think that they are trying to spur any kind of, initial success for themselves through the budget in terms of keeping the election in their mind. I don't think so, because I think it's been largely accepted well by the industry, especially MSMEs. Look at what they did to make available more 2 lakh crore rupees to the MSMEs. They realized that through the ECL GS scheme, they were able to mobilize money for MSMEs. We have been knocking at the RBI's doors and at all the large bankers' doors that why don't you give money to the MSMEs? They are flush with money, but they have not been giving it. Now, with this smart move of allocating money which can only be used by MSMEs to loan it, to give them as loans, they're going to mobilize more money directly into the hands of the small and the medium industry. So those are smart moves, I feel. And for the large industry, I think the most important thing is that if the government continues to spend, you're going to see cement, steel, real estate, everything continuing to go up. And with better Gati Shakti moves and infrastructure, I think, that incremental increase of investment will happen.
Saket Dalmia, my last question to you. During the pandemic, the government had announced several FDI moves. I want to understand from you, what is the response that you have got on the FDI proposal so far? And on the budget, the government certainly is hoping that the animal instinct in the industry would come out. Will it actually lead to that? Or will the industry continue to be cautious because of the times that we are in? There is a war and inflationary numbers and the overall scenario of economy world over.
So the first one being international interest in India, especially regarding FDI. So, I have personally met at least 18 trade missions, international trade missions of various countries and their trade bodies. There's a huge hunger. Earlier, it was all about market access. Now, small and medium companies want to invest, set up shop in India. So, and the government's smart move of pushing them to manufacture into India for India and through India regionally or globally, that's been a smart move, because there is an appetite by these companies, especially the European ones, because their markets are drying up. They want to invest into India because they want a share of the market. So definitely a win-win in terms of FDI. We have been a part of discussions with several FTAs, which India's, in fact, the German and the Swiss FTAs, I have personally sat on certain discussions with both sides of the government. And there is a lot of movement happening there. So I think FDI will come. The government is really proactive about that. In terms of the Indian industry's animal appetite, I think it's still not there. I think one of the biggest pain points which India felt was, there was too much of criminalization which was happening on ground zero. I think the government has become sensitive to that. And we have seen our Honorable Commerce Minister, and recently even in the budget, the Finance Minister specifically mentioned that they have decriminalized a lot of laws. I think still some steps have to be taken for ease of doing business, because as small and large companies within India grow larger, they lose direct control over the companies. And there were certain very, very archaic laws which came, which were in excess and which created instant prosecution. So that has really deterred good industry people to say, why should I expand myself more? So that kind of a mentality. So I think that will take some time to shave off. Once that happens, their investments will come in. They want to invest. They can see the market grow. But I think they were being scared about being too aggressive because of these ease of doing business issues. As decriminalization practically starts happening on ground zero, you'll see money coming back
All
by
right.
these guys.
All right, Saket, thank you so much for your time.